Gentlemen, before we start commence the program, and here are the following webinar protocol. For each participant ID, please use your real name following with your origin of institution. All of participants are expected to mute the audio and audio during the event. We cordially invite you to take your own firm and comfort seat in your own room, and please avoid the backlight. Make sure that you have a good and stable internet connection. If you have an earphone or headset, we recommend you to use it so that your voice can clearly and loudly to be heard. During the Q&A discussion session, all participants, please use the chat box to deliver the questions. Thank you for your cooperation and consideration.
Hello everyone. Thank you for joining our R2SEP today. So before we start our agenda, let me inform you our webinar protocol to join this event. Okay, so next, please. Okay, so first, please adjust your name or ID screen using the given format. Second, during the event, please turn off your audio and only turn on the audio when the moderator gives the change. Third, turn on your camera. And fourth, ensure your network has a stable connection. And fifth, adjust the seat position comfortably and prevent the backlight effect. And next is important note on attendance. So one is fill in the attendance form on this link bit.ly/attendance_R2SEP 2021. And please reminder that the link will be closed in 15 minutes. Second, fill in the feedback form that will be shared 15 minutes before the session ends and closed after 1 hour. And third, attendance and feedback is compulsory for this purpose. First, mandatory attendance for ITS master and doctoral students new intake. Second, certificate of participation eligible for international and participant who have 60% attendance. And third, stamp for it, eligible for ITS undergraduates. So let's start the event. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Researcher and Research Student Enrichment Session on today, Thursday, 29 April 2021. My name is Agatha Christine from ITS Corporate Engagement, and today I will be your Master of Ceremony for this session. Participant who wish to ask question during the question and answer session, please send your question to the link that also be sent by our committee via the Zoom chat room. So before we start our agenda, allow me to deliver our schedule today as follows. First, opening. Second, lecture. Third, Q&A session. Fourth, certificate awarding. And fifth, closing. So today's lecture theme is about common research methodology in your field, which will be delivered by our speaker, Dr. Jin Leng Wei, and Dr. Dimas Anton Aswani will be the one conducting today's session as our moderator. So now I will read a brief explanation of our moderator today. So Dr. Dimas is a senior lecturer and researcher in the Department of Electrical Engineering, ITS. And he got his bachelor and master degree of power system engineering in ITS and graduated from Kumamoto University to get a doctoral degree of power system engineering. And his research interests are electrical engineering, electrical machines, conditioning monitoring, and diagnostics. So now I would like to create our moderator today. Hello, Dr. Dimas.
Okay, hello,
Hello.
Agatha. Yeah, nice.
Hello, are you ready, Dr. Dimas?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
Okay, so without further ado, let's proceed to the main agenda. To Dr. Dimas as our moderator, all the time is yours.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Miss Agatha, for MC today agenda. Okay. So to our honorable speaker, Dr. Shin Leong Hui, uh, our distinguished guest for today, and all RECEP organizer and committee. Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Now, first of all, I would like to welcome you all of these sessions. And in this occasion, we would like to have a presentation from Dr. Shin Leong Hui. I would like to say hello to Dr. Hui. Hello, Dr. Hui. Are you with
Hello,
us?
Dr. Dimas.
Okay. How are you today? I hope you fine there.
Yeah, I'm good today.
Okay, thank you. So, before the presentation begin, let me introduce our speaker today. Uh, his name is Dr. Chin Leong Wei, and anyway, you can see in the screen, his name is Dr. Wei Chin Leong. So maybe this is how to write the name sometimes different, but he say that his family name is Dr. Hui, so we can call him also Dr. Hui. Is it correct?
Yes, sure,
Yeah.
no problem.
Okay.
Thanks for your explanation.
Yeah. Thank you. So, Dr. Hui is a senior lecturer and researcher, School of Electrical System Engineering in University Malaysia Perlis, or we can call UNIMAP. His education background, he got a bachelor degree from University Malaysia Sabah, or UMS, and he received a master engineering and doctor of philosophy in electrical engineering, University Technology Malaysia. His research interest is on lightning, high voltage engineering, and atmospheric electricity. I think this is also very interesting for me, especially because you know that actually I'm a member in high voltage laboratory in ITS. So we have some similar research topic that we do in our research. Okay, and no, I would like to welcome Dr. Hui to deliver the presentations. And you have 60 minutes to deliver your presentations. And now the time is yours uh, to start your presentation.
Thank you very much for your introduction, Dr. Dimas, and also Miss Akata, right? Am I pronounced correctly? I have some problem with the background. I don't know why. It seems like hmm, uh, mirror somehow the background.
I think it's okay,
Okay, okay.
Dr. Hui. Yes.
I just upload the background. I don't know why. So,
Yeah.
okay, I hope you guys don't mind because the background now is a little bit weird.
Yeah.
Okay, um, okay, it is an honor. I mean, to join this webinar together with Dr. Dimas and ITS together. I'm very happy to join the webinar. Thanks to ITS invitation also, I'm happy to share my experience here. Rather than saying this is a lecture, I would say this is a sharing session, okay, between maybe researchers. Uh, I'm given short notice that everyone here is either master student or PhD students, so everyone is doing research. I mean, we are somehow like research partner rather than I would say, okay, I'm in lectures and now I'm giving a lecture here. Wait a minute, I think, okay, good. Okay, and yeah, I think we can share the knowledge among each others. I mean, me, maybe perhaps Dr. Dimas and everyone else here. You can share also your opinion rather than sharing mine. Maybe before I start, I would like to share a little bit of culture, maybe not in Asia culture, I would say. If you, because I'm fortunate enough to join attachment program and also postdoc in Europe around 1 year. And this is a very good experience I would like to share maybe amongst Asian researchers in foreign countries. The supervisor and students, they are like friends, not so much of gaps between each other because we are now postgraduate level and we're supposed to treat each others like friends and research fellow. You know, one day your student graduates, one day is your student graduate. Yeah, they may become a researcher in factories, maybe in companies, or maybe in perhaps in university as well, lecturers, right? So it is good that we keep the research culture such as friends, and also we can share the opinions among each others. That's why today I'm sharing my experience, how I did my master and PhD by research, and also how is the research methodology is going to conduct. So in this session, okay, I will share my screen first. Okay, I hope everyone get my screen. Is it okay? Is my screen presentable to everyone? Dr. Dimas, you get my screen?
Yes,
Yeah, we can
Dr.
see your
Okay.
slide, Dr. Wee.
Yeah, okay, then good. Thank you very much. So I would like to share a little bit my experience on methodology. Of course, now we are sharing this knowledge as a common research methodology rather than very specific topic, right? But I will share also based on my experience on research methodology. And actually, I have taught research methodology also in UNIMAP for one semester. Last semester, I have experienced this. And okay, I found that one of the main problem or main issue, I would say, is for students. Students should try, okay, what we have, what we share here based on our experience, and sometimes it may be different, you know, maybe different from lecturers, even from professor. So maybe each and every researcher, we have our own view on how to do this. So if you compare, even you compare Asian, the way Asian do research methodology, the way Asian write the research methodology, the thesis itself is very different compared to European country. If you go to UK or any other European country, you might find it there is a huge difference, right? Some of the university, they just focus on how you write the how you get your research idea, how you do your research, and what is the final conclusion, what did you find out. Yeah, some of the university, they really focus on that, and of course other things, it's not every time you have to arrange introduction, to review research methodology. This is the way that Asian we do it, but not every country follows like that. But of course, the cream the cream of your research you need to inside put inside your thesis so that you can do your defense. From my understanding also, ITS already conducted several webinar, okay, regarding for postgraduate student. Okay, so how to become a postgraduate student, okay, finding research ideas. I believe everyone already passed through this. Now perhaps you already have some research idea in your mind, and you have done your research review, and now it comes to research methodology. So from research review, how are you going to, design your research? Okay, I would say design your research, or how do you want to do your research? So this is the research methodology. And then coming to research management skill, this is future one, and then getting published. Yes, it is very important for a researcher to get published. Okay, all your works, you should find a way to get it, to make it published. Otherwise, normally this is if university didn't put it online, nobody knows what you are working on. So it is better that you find a way, where there is conference, journals, impact factor journal, ISI, Web of Science. Anyway, you can get something. Try to get it published online so that people knows what you are doing. You might get also research collaboration in future. Of course, presentation skill is very important, and also life strategy as a researcher. Yeah, this is a very important topic. I think topic number 8. I hope you guys try to join, because it is a kind of interesting journey, as a postgraduate student and researcher. I like the journey a lot. Now, as lecturers and supervisors, life sometimes still good, but then not as good as a researcher. You just focus on your research. You don't need to do any teaching, management stuff. Yeah, so it is very nice to be a researcher. So try to try to enjoy your life as a researcher. Okay, so the outline of this sharing, okay, I will share first what is the research methodology, research methodology, and how do you want to achieve your objective. Okay, what is hypothesis, important research design, and some of the example I will give here. So for your information, we have a common research methodology here. So I didn't share a lot on my research itself. If you have any interest on my research, or how do I do my research, yes, you can personally contact me. You can have you can email me. We can have further discussion there. So here I'm giving an introduction to a common research methodology, how you should do a research. Now I'm again. So sorry for the interruption. Okay, what is the research methodology again? For my side, though, but I don't know where it comes from. I mean, the interruption, but let's continue. So, research methodology is a system of collecting data. For research project, we know it as a research methodology. So, research methodology also is a way to solve a research problem systematically. And then research methodology are generally used to test your hypothesis or theory. Whether, okay, you have some hypotheses or theories, okay, you can test whether it is correct or not. So afterwards, to give an example, we have two types of way of doing research. One is inductive and deductive. You can prove the theory, or your hypothesis, whether it's correct or not, either way, you can create a new theory. So there's both way, you can do it both way. So it may be understood as a science of studying how the research is done scientifically. In it, we study the various steps of general adopted by a researcher in studying his research problem along the logic behind. So to cut it short, we can say that it is a method. Okay, it is a method how you do your research. Either you are collecting data, either you want to prove your theory is correct, either you want to generate a new theory. So how you want to do it? Okay, right? So this is cut it short. So how you want to achieve your objective? For example, you have three objectives. Maybe to study, maybe to model a PV system, okay, or to model a lightning striking on the ground, okay. So how you want to do it? So this is your methodology. So it can be a simulation, modeling, hardware implementations, experimental setup, measurement, comparison of your result, and how should the result analyzed so that it can show whether you achieve your objective, how you present your result. You know, although this one sometimes a little bit like gray area, you can put it on the result and discussion also. And you also in the same way, in another way, you can put it also in methodology. Depends on how you write it. You know, there's no very clear cut things here. So what is the significance of this result? Did your method use can present the significance correctly? So schedule your method. So which means the method that you are using here, I would say it need to achieve your objective, and you need to tell the readers of your thesis or your papers, okay, what are you trying to investigate there, right? So your methodology should come to a conclusion that, okay, I have shown this, okay, based on my method. So the theory or the theory you want to develop now is established. Okay, you have proved it correctly. So how to do it is your methodology. So I have a small sharing here. I'm not sure whether you guys are hearing this because there's a thunder happening in my area. Suddenly there's a very heavy rain happening. I hope didn't affect my presentation here. Right? So, okay. I would like to share an experience. It was, I think 2000, I couldn't remember the exact year already. But then back to that time, one of my panel, he told me, okay, so you have present your methodology, okay. So how should we make sure that the result is correct? So as a panel, we check whether your methodology is correct. So when you do the methodology correctly, okay, which means you will get your result correctly. So that's why I remember that time I wasn't paying too much attention on the methodology, but then he asked a lot of questions. Instead, I prepare a lot of answers, you know, on the result and discussion itself, because I'm a little bit excited. I want to explain how is my research, what is the result that I get. But it turns out, you know, the panel, he asked a lot of methodology. So that's why it is very important that you focus on your methodology as well, because it makes sure that the result or the data you are getting here is correct. So you do a correct analysis, right? So why research methodology? There are different research methods. which are compatible with different situations. It's very important to know which method is suitable for particular hypothesis or questions. So if you use, now this is very important, if you use an unsuitable research method, maybe you could make the research useless. Yeah, I believe most of the researcher, we couldn't find the correct method. I mean, in the beginning of our research, sometimes it really takes time for us to, try to find out which ways is the correct way of doing this. For example, I am measuring lightning, okay, lightning electromagnetic wave. I use the antenna to measure it. But how should I make sure the signal I get in my oscilloscope and my screen, okay, that is the signal coming from the lightning itself? So whether the signal is maybe somehow deviated or maybe deviated from the real signal, maybe due to my electronic circuits, maybe due to my antenna itself, my fabrication process is not correct. So it will lead to eventually, I would say the research is useless. So don't get like discouraged when this happens. It happens a lot, right? It's not happening on you only. You are a new researcher, yes, but it happens. I mean, even old professors, so they sometimes research they couldn't find a research method correctly. So you have to repeat the experiment again and again, so to make sure that you get your method correct and you get your result correctly before you do any analysis. Yeah, because once you have started your analysis and then you find out the ways that you carry the experiments itself is not correct or not up to the standard, perhaps sometimes there's a standard to follow, then you face a big problem. You have to redo everything again. So it is very advisable. My advice, maybe you can try to make sure, discuss with your supervisor whether you are using a correct research method before you start, I mean, analysis on your result. So coming from the top, okay, you should describe the proposed methodology in general, okay, in order to answer the research gap or objective, okay, and objective. Research gap, you can say, is a problem statement, and your objective, okay, normally we represent that by using a flowchart. Later on, I will show you another flowchart example. Not from me. Actually, I have attended a professor sharing session on how to write a good thesis. I found that his slide is very good. So although I use his slide, but then only partially, not everything. I use some of this example and then give you some sharing here. So there will be a example of this flowchart. You can have a look how the flowchart normally look like and how it answers the research gap and objective. So flowchart, I don't know how other panel look at it. Personally, I take it very seriously because I couldn't, sometimes I wouldn't able to finish the, reading the research methodology chapter 3. I couldn't finish reading it. So I will read the flowchart first. If I found that the flowchart is not complete, then I have no choice. I have to go back to the text itself to read everything. If the flowchart is very nice, okay, most likely I know, okay, the general research methodology you are going to carry out, and I can go through very fast, chapter 3. So this is one concept that you have to keep in mind when you do methodology. Okay, concept of 1H and 5W. So how and why, what, who, where, and when. So when you try to, prove one of your objective, okay, complete your postgraduate study, okay, you have to ask how, okay, how you are going to do it, why you need to do it, okay, what you are doing it, okay. For example, who are you referring to? Some of the research maybe pointing to a certain person, or maybe certain group of people. You are doing maybe like biologists, maybe a psychologist. Okay, where? Okay, where did you do the research and when? So you can pick either one of these, or you can use multiple. Multiple concept of what we have here. Not everything suit your research, but then you should pick which one is suitable for your project, for your research. For example, lightning. Okay, I will give some example from my research. Lightning is very depends on the geographical conditions of the country, whether it's close to coastal line, in seaside, whether your station located in maybe in the mountain, right, or in the center of the cities, okay, even country, tropical country, subtropical country. So all these things, it will affect your result. That's why it is very important, okay, when you are doing research on lightning, you need to mention where are you taking this data. So not every, not every research is important here. Okay, for example, you are doing a simulation. So simulation, you should get everywhere. So that's why this is very important. Okay, the time is have passed half hour. I need to go fast. Okay. Okay, so you can describe. Okay, then you propose your research methodology theoretically. Okay. I will give, maybe I put a laser pointer here. Okay, propose your methodology theoretically, and then highlight your contribution towards new knowledge. So you need to describe your data sample as well. Later on, I will show you an example. And then how you identify this data. Describe the tools you use to gather all the data. Describe the measurement analysis. Describe the measurement methods used for qualitative and quantitative analysis. So all these things are included in research methodology. So you have to prove hypothesis. So what is the hypothesis? Hypothesis is a statement that you believe this is going to be your result of your research. So now you are going to prove it, right? This is the hypothesis. So the aim of the research is to support or verify the hypothesis, or to show that they are not valid statements. Or maybe they are valid statement, they are not valid statement. Yeah, like that. So important of the research design. So you design so that it reduce the inaccuracies, help to maintain maximum efficiency and reliability, eliminates the bias and marginal errors, minimize the wastage of time. This is very important here. Okay, if you get a very good, if you have a very good research design in a way, you make sure that everything you did is correct, or you verify your steps or your research method every time you do your research, and then you try to check the result, and it will minimize the wastage of time. This is, I would say personally, I will check my result every time I get the result, not that I just collect all the data. Otherwise, it might be wasting your time collect something which is not accurate, or people might be doubtful on your result. Right? Give an ideas, helpful for collecting research material. Give an ideas regarding the resources required in terms of money, manpower, times, and effort. Guides the research in the right direction. So these are the importance of a research design, a very good research design should have. So Types of methodology here. For engineering student, I don't know if anyone here comes from art streams. Maybe in Indonesia you call it different way. In Malaysia we call it art stream and science stream. Science stream is normally engineers, those who investigating or studying in related to science subjects. So anything related to not related to science, for example, economy, financials, so we call it art stream. So here you see qualitative research, it will normally conducted by art stream students, and you can see here normally we have narrative, ground study, case studies, all these are maybe like psychologists, um, these types, this type of studies, we call it as qualitative research. And quantitative, there's a quantity here, you have to remember. So sometimes correlations, subjects, experiments. Yeah, these are the two main research methods we are having here. Other than that, we also have inductive and deductive method. This is what I have mentioned previously. Inductive, which means that you use this method you see here, an inductive approach is concerned with the generation of new theory emerged from the data. So you collect the data and then you can prove some new theory. Okay, for example, I can collect data from lightning. Okay, I say instead of lightning hitting the ground, maybe lightning are more likely to hit on the sea. This is a new theory. So this is an inductive approach. You collect the data and then you give something, a new theory coming out. Otherwise, okay, you can prove also on deductive. Okay, is n when it comes to deductive. So you your theory is right. So you do a simulation. Now the simulation shows that, for example, maybe lightning hitting the ground also it affect the telecommunication line. So then you need to prove it. So you have a theory here, then you prove it whether it's correct. So this is deductive. So both method also works, and sometimes researcher we are using both of these methods to prove what to prove that our hypothesis is correct. So there are two main research method you can solve your problem, quantitative and qualitative. I will give some example here. So quantitative normally number, logics, amounts, can use some experiment, simulations, and quantitative, so it's different thing. It's like normally in words, like historical research. Historical research is something like you have to describe in words. You cannot do with deal with numbers. Okay, like in-depth interviews, groups interviews, right? Psychology, sociology, everything here belongs to qualitative research. Okay, so quantitative experimental research, yeah, normally they are conclusive, it says here. So the result presented in papers and graph. So the evidence is evaluated. Normally it is non-descriptive and then mathematic and use number. Actually, these days there are a lot of qualitative research. They also turn it to quantitative research. I don't know whether you guys realize or not. For example, like historicals, maybe especially psychologists, they try to use some of these medical equipment to quantify, quantify all these emotion or something related to psychologists. They want to make it numbers, quantity, so that they can easily use some method to judge it, justify it, and then come to a conclusion. So qualitative normally we can call it correlation research. So because it seeks a behavior of looking at correlation among variables, correlation does not provide correlation does not prove cautions. So for example, so doctor noticed that people are drinking white wine have a better health. So this is a qualitative. It didn't go into a quantitative numbers here. This is a qualitative. So it doesn't mean that red wine necessary is health. So we can say a statement like this, but then it doesn't mean exactly. Or healthy people prefer to drink wine. People with enough money drink wine, then can afford healthy diets. So there are so many conclusions you can get it from one simple statement here. So for observation research, so researchers simply observe and record the ongoing behavior but does not attempt to change it. So this kind of observation research we have, okay, for example, television monitorings of people in a store. So observation is made on the environment where the behavior occurs. Okay, normally used in animal study like Discovery Channel. You know, unobstructed research, another terms of naturalistic observations used in social science. So these are observations. So participant observations, which means that the observer of a participant in a group to record the behavior, archive the research, okay, student crimes statistically in different countries to see there is a correlation between a capital punishment and also the murder rate. So this is something like we store the, we archive the research, right? So there is a statistic about this already, so we archive it, so maybe we can get some conclusion out of this. So case study, you have a event, person, animals, you know, you can do a specific case study on that. For there is a lot of case study recently about COVID-19. You see maybe COVID-19 in this city, specifically on small cities, what happened to the people. Yeah, and these are the case study and survey. Survey is one of the most popular. I don't know how Indonesia act on it, but in Malaysia, yes, survey form is one of the most popular method students use to get their data, especially coming from social science students. Right, since the time is running out, I will try to make it fast. Experiment, okay, we have a true experiment and a quasi-experiment. So a true experiment research procedure which the scientist has completely control on the aspect. So quasi is an experiment which investigates of degrees control over certain conditions. I wouldn't say all conditions, but maybe certain conditions. Through experiment, yes, we can carry out, but maybe your university need to be strong. Maybe you need maybe some equipment to support your experiment. But then quasi-experiment, this is what normally student is doing. For example, you have a sample. Now you want to test the characteristic of a certain insulator, for example. Then you have to send to somewhere else. Your university don't have the equipment, so that's why you cannot fully control the experiment itself. Maybe some mixture. You want some company or some research center to prepare a sample for you. Of course, you can give them what you want. What is the portion you want to mix inside, but then how they do it, whether correctly, it's not either correct, right? So experiment, you have to be very cautious about it. So it's to test, experiment is to test whether the hypothesis or to discover a new relationship if any among the variables. But the conclusion though, based on the experiment data are generally criticized by either faulty assumption, poorly designed experiment, badly executed experiment of watching situation
Excuse
and
me,
sharing.
Dr. Wui. Excuse me.
Maybe we can try to
So I
mute other
think,
participants.
excuse me, Dr. Wui. Dr. Wui.
Sorry.
Sorry, Dr. Wei. Yeah. So maybe you can,
Now,
yes, your voice sometimes is there is lagging. So maybe you can turn off your video for a
speak
moment.
louder.
So yeah. So to make your voice more clear. Okay. Thank you.
Sure, no problem. Sorry
Yeah.
about that. It's really raining very heavily,
Yeah. Yeah.
starting
I
from
think,
I think 4 o'clock.
yeah. It's much better now.
Okay, much better now. Okay,
Yeah.
sorry about the interruption. Okay, I will continue. So that's why it is good that you make sure the experiment you are going to carry out follows standard, or maybe follow other researcher first, okay, before you make sure. I mean, this is the way that how we make sure the experiment is correct. Or in other way, I would say that you make sure your experiment is correct before you do the analysis. Okay, so as a researcher, you must pay all the responsibility and attention while developing the experimental design, and must state only probable interference. Okay, purpose survey of the investigation may also be to provide a scientifically gathered information to work as a basis for research for their conclusion. So basically, caution about the experiment. We want to make sure the experiments carry out correctly, right? And my way of doing it, actually, of course, you can. My way of doing it, of course, also you can like um, consult your supervisor, and also you can find some journals, maybe reliable journals, to make sure that your research methodology is correct. It's kind of I would say defendant. You can defend your research methodology. So either you can get it from simulation, measurement can be made from simulation, hardware, comparison, guideline from journals, publication, referred conference, ISO, IEEE, IEC, okay, for electrical engineering. Okay, choose the correct equipment, and then experimental validations, hypothesis, assumption. What to measure depends on your research field. Okay, make sure that you have the equipment, whether it's calibrated. This is very important. Whether your equipment is calibrated, and also logbook. Logbook, yes, normally I did the logbook. Most of the students didn't, but I just write, on Excel file or Words. Okay, coming to research, it can be a case study, okay, about a groups, individuals, communities, or phenomena. Anthropographical study, you can relationship between the nature, behavior, cultures, social group. This is a social science methodology. Development of the studies, okay, research on the individual groups, institution, communities, intensive over a long time of period. Yeah, this is good so that you can conclude something out of this. And then historical study to gain information on the events, development on the previous education experience, involve studying previous situations, checking on the current situation to predict whether the same situation will occur again, conclusion on the previous events, which is done based on collected facts or events to answer why and how the events is representation occur. So some of these, you see, we have to predict whether the same situation is going to happen again. That's why even qualitative research sometimes involved with the predictions, and the predictions sometimes involved in AI technique also. That's why sometimes I found that some of these AI technique has been used also in qualitative research. Okay, let's continue. As mentioned, this is one of the most favorite technique students use to carry out their research methodology. So survey method can be a lot these days, especially the involvement, the evolutions of social media. So here I'm not going to explain details, but you can have a look here. Okay, I would like to share a little bit on the how you design your research, or we call research design. So there are strategy, concept, frameworks, who and what going to be studied, tools. Okay, let's move on it. So strategies, you can use either quantitative or qualitative. Okay, which one suits you? And concept framework, you need to have a concept and a framework how you are going to do your research, developing and describing the framework. This question. So you need to have a framework itself. I will go faster now. Since I have 10 minutes, I think so. Okay, right. Samples. So how many samples you are doing it with it? So it needs to fit on your studies logics. Whether this sample is good enough, number of sample is good enough. There's one says here. You cannot study everyone everywhere and doing everything. So you have to scope down your research. It's not that everything you have to do it, but you have to choose your sample so that it can represent significantly your research outcome. Okay, and let's continue. So the appropriate sampling plans depends very much on what the study is trying to find out. Okay, right? So for quantitative study, then you have to be how big the sample selected. Okay, the relationship between the variables is important. Again, qualitative and quantitative data, when you have data collection, qualitative observations, qualitative questionnaire interviews itself, here maybe including some experiment as well. So normally, how you collect data, how they will be administrated, so face-to-face, group. So this is how you design your research design. So how you want to carry out your design, your research. I mean, this is one part of the methodology as well. So if the interview is home, where the interview is conducted, home or where else. So you need to properly describe in your thesis and as well as when you are doing the planning itself. It will be done, how it will be done, right? Okay. For quantitative research in statistics, in the proposal, you indicate what analytical technique you propose to use, what program, if any, you can also your proposal. Okay, there's a one sample here as a research design. This I took from PV system. Okay, PSO is a because one mentioned technique. It's one of the technique to track. Okay, PV system. So this is the idea. So objective design. So the main doing decisions. So scope module imbalance are not considered. So some of the scope you are not considering, you should mention also. So the activity here, maybe you can put it like this. This is just an example. It's not.
Sorry. Okay.
Yes, Dr. Nimas.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm sorry. So just now I have back your screen, but before I lose your screen, maybe is it about your connection or my connection? But anyway, it's already back. I'm sorry. So please continue your presentation. I'm sorry.
Now you can see my screen, Dr. Dimas. Is it clear?
Yeah. Very clear.
Okay.
I'm sorry. Yeah. Please continue.
Sorry. I hope the recording gets everything. Okay. You can design, I mean, your research in a way. Of course, this is an example. Every research have their own ways of designing it. I mean, what is the time frame? For example, you can discuss with the supervisor and then try to make it clear before you start your experiment. Even before you start your study, it's very good that everything you have like guideline to follow, and then can fit the time. So, for example, you have mathematical, so available just upon university, so you have to attend some here simulation, doing simulation if you are doing experiment. So 6 years, 6 months, and 1 year you finish a master program like this. So maybe first year you have, this is the Gantt chart. You should have a chart for research. Maybe the first quarter of this year you should explore something, and maybe second quarter. If you look at kind of load, there's a whole app here. So which means maybe second quarter you are doing both things at the same time. It is very important that you plan your research properly so that you know whether you are on track or you are behind of the schedule. Then you can finish in 2 years. Like I don't know how about Indonesia. Normally in Malaysia, research master study by research. Normally we did it within 2 years. Like if you have your methodology for PhD, you need to contribute to a new knowledge. Now you need to think whether your okay, new knowledge, it can be your result as a new knowledge, or it can be also the method you are using it is new. So when you propose a method as a new, now you have to depend on it. In fact, whether it's review, support by result analysis, details, performance and comparison, clear discussions, and to link the research get and objective. So be remind here, this is my experience also. It is good a research work by a researcher, especially the dissertation should reflect the effort of a single researcher. Keeping in mind that one should avoid collaboration as far as possible in a young stage. For example, now you are a young researcher. Yes, you can do collaboration, but then you have to be clear, or you have to be you have to understand all the steps on how the research method research or your research method. Otherwise, if you wrote something inside your thesis, the panel might ask and you put an answer, you cannot say that this is done by my partner. So you should be clear how you do the research itself. Even though some of the you may collaborate with your friends, but then all the steps and result you have to be clear about it. It is good that it's not that you can't do collaboration, then you have to be careful on that. Have certification compliance, if activity are too closely to one another, especially for PhD. Yeah, especially for PhD students, you have to be clear what your main contribution and how you differentiate your contribution with your friends, right? So that maybe you are under same supervisor, you guys are doing things very similar, and yeah, you have to be caution about this. Okay, there is some advice on also the supervisor skill, but then I think I would skip it. Of course, I would just on this because this is not mentioned here. So a researcher to provide new information to the supervisor and get information from the supervisor towards the end, he will know or he know more on the topic than the supervisor. Very common practice. So there's no shortcut to success. So a good supervisor or senior researcher for the answer to the question, but give a appropriate direction to clarify this. So your supervisor, don't be surprised, your supervisor may not know the answer, okay? But then he will guide you, he or she will guide you, so you know that how you can clarify your doubts. So here, is it wrong to doubts? It is good to doubts, and then I mean to clarify also your doubts. So this is why research happening happening every day, I would say. Okay, so okay, so there's no reason to show off. You have to maintain like courtesy. If you are consulting to another expert, okay, some of your works, it should be necessary with your be with the knowledge of your supervisor. So don't take the criticism or don't take the comments too hard, okay? You should take it easily. Although there's comment from your supervisor, take it harsh. So there are some comics I would like to share also, but you can have a look on your own because I think the community afterwards as well. So these PhD comics are one of the favorite comics which we have it during my PhD life. So it's sorry, there are some, questions you should ask, okay, during the research methodology, whether you are doing correctly or not. And finally, I would like to show some examples. Okay, so this is a conclusion. So you get some standard application, standard hardware, how you want to do the methodology. You compare maybe the simulation and hardware. This is not exactly like this. Not all the research did it like this, but then some of the research, yes, they do it like this, and they do some analysis, then come to conclusion. So it is important to always update the literature review. Otherwise, especially for PhD students, maybe what you want to do, someone already did in other country, in your own country. So you have to always update the literature review, difference between new, modified, hybrid methods. Okay, research ethics, always implement your methodology honestly. So don't try to, this is a research ethic and very serious. Don't try to manipulate the result, right? Your research result. So follow whatever the result you get. Maybe you have to discuss with your supervisor what you want to do with it. Come to a final stage, which is example. I would like to show you some example how the research flowchart is going to be like. This is the one I'm getting from these articles. So for research methodology, you can see that how they do the research and how they fill in the gaps. Eventually, okay, they trace the nucleus membrane outline. So this is objective, but then what is the step here? what is the method you are using here. Okay, and I will go also. Okay, so how you describe your techniques. One of the important part in research methodology, which enable you, I think, to publish in a very good journal as well, because they are looking at how you design your experiment you're doing. So you need to explain, in a very detailed way how you do it. Okay, for example, there are some simulation or some data you get it. So how did you find the absolute mean value difference? Okay, you should explain very in a very detailed, for example, normalization. So how you do your programming, not to put the whole program inside the paper, but a portion of it you can explain, right? How the algorithm works. Okay, how you get
I'm
the
sorry,
data
Dr. Wu. Excuse me. Excuse me, Dr. Wu. Yeah. So,
I'm hearing you.
yeah. Okay. So, we have maybe extra time for you. Maybe just 2 minutes more. So maybe you can consider to faster your faster
Sure.
your
Thank you very much,
presentation.
Dr.
Yeah.
Dimas.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm everything. So also that data sample qualitative analysis normally is um, in text form. So a survey sample of forms, qualitative quantitative analysis only. Okay, common mistake. No update in literature review, no flowchart. So you should describe algorithm, existing methods, new knowledge, and these are the reference I'm referring to when I try to compile this slide. Thank you very much. I finish my presentation here.
Okay.
I will pass it back to Dr. Dimas.
Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Wu. I think it's very informative and interesting topic about the methodology research, and you already share your material and also maybe some your experience. So it's very interesting. And now we come to question answer sessions, and I will ask to the audience. Yeah.
Okay, right.
Yeah, okay, Dr. Louis. So I will ask to audience, maybe you have any questions, please just raise hand and you can directly ask to Dr. Wu. So maybe we open for 2 questions. Is there any questions? So while waiting a question from the audience, actually we have question from the chat room. The question is from Pak Edi Karyono Putro. Are you here now?
Yes, I am, Mas
Yeah.
Dimas.
Yeah. Yeah, Pak Edi. Do you want to directly ask question to Dr. Wu? Or
if I have an opportunity, that will be okay, Mas Dimas.
yeah, okay. Please, you can ask directly to Dr. Hui for your questions.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Rui. Allow me to introduce. My name is Eddie. My questions would be in the quantitative research. What is the tendency of the methodology used? Is it going to be, what I mean is that the approach, yeah? Is it going to be inductive or deductive? What is the tendency of, that the research approach used so far? Are you with me?
Yeah.
Dr.
Okay,
Lee?
I understand.
Okay.
I would, it can be in both ways actually. It can be in both ways. I wouldn't say tendency, but whether the research methodology is suits your objective, whether the research methodology can show or prove your hypothesis. This is much more important, whether it's inductive or deductive, right? I mean, it should show that your hypothesis, it can prove your hypothesis whether it's correct or wrong. So that methodology, I would say, is considered good. Whether it's inductive or deductive is okay. Qualitative or quantitative also same.
Okay.
Does that
Noted. Thank you.
Yeah.
I hope I answered your question.
Yeah.
Yeah, because this is optional, right? Inductive or deductive is dependent upon the methodology of the research itself.
Yes.
And basically, it is really preference of the researcher whether he is going to choose the either either methodology, right?
Yes, correct.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Thank you for that.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Paidi. Thank you, Dr. Wee. So, is there any other questions from the audience? So, while waiting, so I have one question for you, Dr.
Okay,
Wee.
sure.
Yeah. So, based on your experience, so in the beginning step, I mean the first step, how to arrange the research methodology? I mean, in the initial condition, what should we do to prepare our research methodology?
Okay. Firstly, of course, you can get some idea, not everything, I mean, from the supervisor first. And then you can try to read on some journals, books, or any articles that related to your research. Okay, perhaps you want to do something similar, but not exactly same with what they are doing, right? So you can have some idea, starting idea from that. I would suggest you can need to jot it down. Use an Excel file. I don't know whether it fits to you. I use an Excel file. I jot down all the related literature review. Okay, what kind of method they are using, this researcher they are using, and then sometimes yes, I will design my own research methodology. Sometimes some parts of it, maybe my experiment, some parts of it, I follow the previous researcher. So it is good that you can have an idea from previous researcher, especially from reliable journals or articles, right? It is not that, I mean, these days, internet or maybe publication, I would say, is around the world has increased a lot within these 10 years. I would say it really increased a lot. And whether the research they are conducting, whether maybe the method or the data is reliable, sometimes it really depends. So this one you have to collect by really. But I would say to start with it, meet your supervisor, get advice from him, and also at the same time try to read some articles related to it, whether from books, conferences.
Yeah.
I hope I answer the question.
Yeah, Dr. Wee, thank you. So, at first, so we can consider the idea from our supervisor, and then we can also find the idea from some literature review, journal, and then conferences and other references. So, yeah.
Maybe from your research friend as well.
Yeah.
Forget to add on.
Yeah, it can be for from other previous research. Okay, thank you, Dr. Wee. And maybe is there any other question from the audience? You can also okay. There is from the chat room from Pak Oni Bintoro. So, are you here, Pak Oni? Pak
Yes,
Oni.
Pak. Yes, Pak. Yes, Pak.
Yeah. Okay. Pak Oni, do you want to say directly to Dr. Wui?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, the moderator, Dr. Wui. I have a questions on. You mentioned about inductive and deductive. So my question is,
Yes.
when the case research need to combine, so deductive or inductive, because I'm doing a PhD level and normally the research is a bit long period of time, and I think it's more common that people try to combine both the inductive, deductive, the qualitative, then quantitative. Even though I belong to the hard engineering, which is normally it's more of quantitative, but in most of my research that I read, that they have do some combination, but I do not know how to do that combination properly. Thank you.
Okay, Dr. Wee, you can directly respond the question.
Okay, this is a very good question. You know, how to combine. I would like to say it goes back to your, objective and how this method. Okay, you want the method that you are using, whether it will prove, whether it's quantitative, qualitative, inductive, or deductive. It goes back to the objective you want to achieve, or the hypothesis that you want to prove, right? If the hypothesis itself requires, okay, inductive measurements or inductive methods, then you can use it. Otherwise, if the hypothesis you are trying to prove, which consists of deductive method, then you can use deductive. This, when I said when you ask how you want to combine it together, I would say you combine it on what you want to prove, or you want to, for example, activity, there's a new contribution you need to fulfill, right? So in order to fulfill this contribution, okay, for example, you say a hypothesis that you want to prove whether this is correct or wrong. Now, what kind of method you can use to prove that whether this hypothesis is right or wrong, then you can use that. Either you can combine it, or you can make it separate, or you can partially combine it, or you can split it in a way. But the important thing is when you do analysis, okay, this is the method that what I'm doing, and I've used this method, and then this method has drawn me to this conclusion, and this conclusion, okay, yes, it fulfill my objective or it support my, yeah, like that. Does that answer your question? Does that answer your question?
Yes. Yeah. It's asking more. Actually, I have more follow-up questions. Like,
yeah, sure.
You know, because it's the time when you combine the method. I think it's not the methodology. The method, you can do some combination, doing a parallel combination or serial combination. And since I didn't reach that position, so I haven't studied yet, but maybe you can give some rule of time or some suggestion to do. Thank you.
Yeah.
You mean, if I get your question correctly, you want to combine it, is it? And then
Yes, that's the my question.
Okay, you want to combine it, and you want maybe I give you some tips or example. Okay, let's look at it. Okay, maybe qualitative way. Okay, okay. There are some research. I can give some example here. There are some research they use a qualitative way to get the problem statement. For example, okay, energy management. Okay, maybe this building. Okay, we have a energy problem. We are using a lot during this hour, the peak hours. We are using a lot of electricity. So you can give a survey form, or maybe you get some data, collect some data from previous statistic. Okay, why this is happening? Okay, maybe you can do it quantitative way. You use a device, okay, to track how is the electrical usage in certain buildings, okay, in certain periods of hour. Okay, why this is happening? So how should I? Okay, if you are doing some optimization, for example, I want to optimize the usage of this electrical usage in this building. So you get your problem, you get the sources why this is happening. Okay, now you think of your method, how you want to solve this, how you want to optimize it. So quantitatively, you maybe use a algorithm, okay, to solve the problem. So I hope I give a good example. Maybe you can imagine if you have some question you can ask also, no problem. This is how you combine it,
Okay, Pak Ani, it's answer your question. Yeah. So he give you good answer. Okay.
Thumbs up. Thank you, Pak.
Okay. So Dr. Wui, there is audience raise hand. Mr. Ahmad Rizal Dania. Pak Ahmad Rizal. Okay. Do you want to ask some question to Dr. Wui?
Oh, yes. Thank you for the opportunity, Mr. Dimas. Dr. Wui, I just want to ask some, maybe a silly question. Maybe I need some suggestion. One of your, in your slide, one of the page said that when you have, the data is different between causality and the correlative data. I just want to ask, what is the basis things that we should know whether the data is correlative or as a correlation, or is it just the causality? That is my question. Thank you.
Okay. Your question, if I get it correctly, you want to ask whether correlative and Dr. Dimas, maybe you get the question. I didn't.
I'm sorry. I also lost.
Sorry. Maybe I'm just a bit confused here. I will try to repeat my question. How to know that when we are analyzing some experiment, we have to conclude, right, if this experiment has the correlation, or it's and one of your slides you said that not always a correlation is causal. I'm sorry. Let me read for me.
Causality.
Causality, yes.
Causality.
Correlation does not prove causation. Correlation does not prove causation. I just want to ask a basic how to know that we are experiment is our data is our experiment has a causation. If it's correlating and it's also have a causation, or it's just correlating. As an example, we have some graphic and it's very linear. So we thought that this experiment has a causation, direct causation, which it is correlating, or is this just a causation? What is the basic rule there?
You mean causalities mean like because of this data, so because of this variable change, the other variable is changing. It's like this case, Pak Ahmad.
Yes.
So if there is two variable is can has a strong correlation, that means maybe it's causality. Yeah? So if for example, if we have y variable and y depend on x variable, so we can say this is a causality. Is it correct, Pak Ahmad?
Yes. Just no.
No?
Is it? Yes. Yes. It is the question, but more precise. Is it the data is only correlating, or is it only has also has a causality? Yes.
Dr.
Is it
Wee,
understandable? My question,
Dr. Wee, you got
Mr.
this
Roy?
question?
I didn't get it very correctly. I don't know. I
Uh,
didn't see what's the difference between correlation and then what
Causation.
Pak Ahmad is saying, causation.
Yes.
mm,
Yes. In your slide, with qualitative and non-experiment research, you said that correlation does not prove causation. I just want to you
uh,
make clear about it, Mr. Dr. Wei. Dr. Wei.
Okay, maybe perhaps the slide
yeah.
I'm presenting just now, I'm not very sure. But then, okay, for example, we can say that there is a correlation, okay, perhaps between two variables, okay, but then maybe it doesn't strong, the correlation itself isn't strong enough to prove certain statement, I would say. Yeah, like that. So there is a correlation between two variable, but then maybe there are other variables and maybe there are some other uncertain parameters which we didn't determine, okay, during our method. So so there is a correlation between these two parameters, but it cannot draw to a solid conclusion. So I don't know whether this is what you are asking for, but I try to understand in that way. Does that
Yes.
answer your question?
Yes. That's answering my question. Thank you, Dr. Wei.
Okay, thank you, Pak Ahmad.
Okay. Thank you, Pak Ahmad. And okay, so we have 5 minutes before 5 p.m. So I will open one question from the audience. Just you can raise hand or you can type in the chat room or directly ask to Dr. Wui. Is there any questions? Okay. So, okay, while waiting a question, maybe, Dr. Wui, I want ask some maybe simple question or depend or maybe your experience. So, when we already have like a research method or research plan, and for example, in the PhD student, so we do our research in the long periods. I mean, maybe 3 years or more. So if we found that in the middle of our research process, we think that maybe our plan is not working properly, so it is possible to change our methodology, or maybe it's drastically, maybe we change our research topic maybe. Do you have any some comment or suggestions?
Thank you very much.
It can happen to our students.
I think this is a very good question. Even I myself or many of my friends, they change their research topic. I change it because I'm not changing it during my PhD, but I change after my master. Initially, yes, I was considering actually, I want to continue my master research also in my PhD level. But then, after sometimes, after I finish my nearly to the end of my master, I found that yes, this topic is kind of what researchers say is this area is kind of saturated. I would say saturated with new findings, saturated with experiments saturated with standards. So many things already had happened in this area, and I'm reluctant to continue it anymore. That's why during my PhD, I proposed a new topic to my supervisor. So yes, you can change. Even I have friends that they change their research, even they change their topic during, I think, in the middle of their PhD studies. But okay, before you change it or before you decide to change it, yes, you can always try to, try to consult with your supervisor. Maybe he or she has some idea, okay, on how you can continue this topic on, or maybe it is good that you change.
Yeah.
So before, I would say, before you try to convince your supervisor or you try to consult your supervisor, bring some evidence. I would say bring some evidence. You have studied something, you have this paper, these articles saying so much of informations, maybe latest articles or research books. Okay, you can discuss with your supervisor, providing some information, and then perhaps you can convince your supervisor, yeah, to change the topic or the research itself. The research method itself, you can change. There's no problem.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Wee. So, I can conclude that it is possible to change our research topic, but but we have to consult and discuss with our supervisor. And I think, yeah, it's very critical point to do this. Maybe this is the last option to.
Yes, this is definitely a last option.
Last option, yeah.
Don't try to change it all the time, otherwise you cannot finish.
Yeah. So yeah, it is maybe very important to PhD student.
Yes.
If we can keep continue our research track, it is better. That means it's not deadlock, right?
Yes.
Okay.
And don't forget, actually, you can change it after your PhD also. If you don't like it, you can finish it and then you change it afterwards. Also, no problem.
Yeah. After finishing your study, that's right.
Yeah. Otherwise, maybe you spend time, if you want to study from scratch again.
Okay.
Can I have a more follow-up question, Mr. Dimas and Dr. Woi?
Yeah, please, just a simple question, Pak Oni. So because
Okay.
our time is limited.
Your last conversation, it's really true in my case because a bit about changing the topic because of the circumstances. Is actually this is my first year. So I was accepted with, let's say, X topic, but then circumstances changing. I changed my job, so meaning my interest is also moving, but I didn't know is it appropriate to ask for changing the topic because when I enter the university, I have to make a research proposal. And my question is, how common is that changing the topic? And that's number one. And number two, how far is the changing, the revisement, something like that? And maybe you make a case like how many percentage or happen somewhere. Thank you, Dr. Woi, and thank you, Pak Dimas.
Yeah. Okay, Dr. Wee, you can give some response.
Yeah, I will try to answer. I don't know how many percent. I don't know how many percent, but yes, there are a lot of students. Among my friends also, they are changing the topic, but some of them change a little bit, and some of them they change a lot, including the whole topic they change. Even some of the students they change their supervisor also, because the topic they want to study now no longer suit the current supervisor. It's no longer his or her expertise. Even the student change the supervisor, but this is not happening all the time. Changing the supervisor is rarely happen. Most of the students they don't change supervisor, but a little bit fine tune on the topic. Maybe, for example, you are using certain techniques, and then you find that this technique is no longer, in terms of people's hot or popular topics. Somebody published, you cannot claim this as your main contribution as a PhD student. People change it. The student, they do change the topic, but not much, just a little bit fine tune on the topic. Maybe the research methodology, including your experiment, is still the same, but the way you present your result, the way that you analyze your result may be different. This is most of, I would say, commonly happen in PhD and also master level by research. Yes, normally it happens, but not a major change, because major change, even you have changed your literature review, then you change everything, then even your proposal, you cannot use it. Then not only the student or the supervisor, maybe you track your studies also. So this is unlikely to happen. As I mentioned just now, most of the time, students will just finish off their research, even though they think that this research couldn't continue anymore, maybe in future. Like to continue, maybe it can continue, but they don't like to continue anymore. Normally, students will also finish their studies and then try to convert your research of interest afterwards.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you might delay your graduation. So that's why students normally they don't do it that way. A fine tune on that is okay. Is what commonly we did.
Yeah. So, okay, Pak Oni, it's answer your questions.
Thank you, Pak Dr. Wui. Appreciate. But thank you, Pak
Yeah,
Dimas.
thank you very much for the questions.
Okay.
And my only share also, I add a little bit on. For example, as a PhD student, it is very important that you read all the time. And once you find out that maybe this topic is no longer we can justify as new. Okay, now this is something that we need to go into further. Okay, maybe you can add something, some technique or some new data to so that you can defend your PhD as a new contribution. Right. So this is common.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Wui, and also Pak Oni for your questions. And now I see the time. I think it's 5 minutes. So we will almost finish to our discussion today, and I would like to make just a simple summarize about the topic to these discussions. Thank you again to Dr. Wui. You already share about the research methodology, how to do, and what is the strategy to make the research methodology. And also you already share like a worksheet or some timetable, and also schedule example. And there is several important point I already got for this discussion today. The first is collaboration is very important. So especially for the PhD student to make research successful. And for the PhD student, please do it by yourself, your research. So it's very important
Yes.
because your experience very important for the student. And once again, and I'm very agree with you, Dr. Wui. So PhD comic is very, 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 very good. What do you say? Reading for relax, because we will feel will make us for students feel not lonely. So we
Yes.
have,
Exactly.
yeah, we have a friend with similar condition with us for PhD student. And okay, generally, I would like again very thanks to our guest lecture today, Dr. Hui. And now I will end our session and will give back to Mbak Agatha, ya, Miss Agatha, for MC today. Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Dimas, for conducting this amazing session. And thank you very much, Dr. Hui, for the amazing lecture today. So maybe everyone please give applause to Dr. Hui and Dr. Dimas by using the Zoom reaction feature for today's amazing session.
Thank you very much, everyone. Before we end the session, I just like to say sorry if I've had any wrong sayings during the session. Please forgive me if I didn't plan to offend anyone.
Okay, it's okay, Dr. Hui.
Wrong saying, I don't know. Just try to.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Hui. So furthermore, we would like to present a certificate awarding for our honorable speaker and moderator.
Oh, thank you. I got a certificate.
Okay, next, please, committee. So this is the certificate presented for Dr. Hui. Thank you very much, Dr. Hui.
Thank you for the nice e-certificate here. Nice,
So
nice.
next is the certificate presented for Dr. Dimas. Okay, so once again, thank you very much, Dr. Dimas and Dr. Hui, for your availability on today's session. So before we end today's session, we invite you all participants as well as the honorable speaker and moderator to take a group photo. So for the participant, please open your camera. Okay. Okay, so now I will start counting down. So please give us your best and sweetest smile. So this is for the first slide. 1, 2, 3. And for the next slide. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so for the third slide. 1, 2, 3. Okay, enough. So thank you everyone. So the photo session has ended. The feedback form through the link bit.ly/feedback R2SEP_2021 that you can also see on the Zoom chat room. And we want to remind you that the participant who will get the stamp is the participant who will come on time, join this event until the end, and also fill the feedback form. So before we part, I would like to inform you that we still have several features agendas in R2SEP. You can see it on the poster we are showing you right now, or you can check it out in ITS Corporate Engagement website later. We will see you in the next session with the theme Research Management Skills that will be delivered by Dr. Suatfi Ismail from University Malaysia Paris that will be conducted on Thursday on 20th of May 2021. So finally, we have reached the end of today's researcher and research student enrichment program. And we sincerely apologize for any mistakes we may have made in presenting as Master of Ceremony and committee. Thank you again, Dr. Hui and Dr. Dimas, and all participants for the attention and cooperation. So for the committee, you may end this meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you, Dr.
everyone.
Hui. Thank you, Dr. Dimas, Anton.
Thank
We hope
you, Mr. Hui.
we can visit each other, yeah, because we have. I think Dr. Dimas, Anton has a similar lab as Dr. Hui, high voltage engineering. Maybe we can visit each other.
Yeah, we
years
hope
and
Yeah,
stuff
sure, sure.
some
after the
collaboration, Dr.
pandemic.
Hui. Later we can
We should
contact.
meet.
Yeah.
We should meet and conduct some research together.
Yeah. We can do the research together. Yeah.
Okay, all good.
Okay,
selamat
thank you
berbuka
again
puasa,
to
everyone.
Dr. Wi, Dr. Dimas, and also Dr. Irfan, our Senior Manager of ITS Global Engagement, and also all the committee and participants who have attended the RESEP session today. Please allow me to end the session in 3, 2, 1. Thank you and see you in the next RESEP session.
See you.